everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Mayor Tyler Moore Show here on the Kokomo Post. My name is Drew Larison. This guy is MTM. Mr. Mayor, how you doing?
Great. Coming off a busy, fun-filled weekend full of everything. And again, another one of those weekends that if somebody showed up for work or school or woke up this morning and said, man, this past weekend was really boring, I had nothing to do.
Idiots.
You did not look hard enough, because there were, I didn't say idiots, but they were not looking hard enough.
Fruit.
You had, I mean, because you guys hit the circus on Friday. There was the circus was in town. You had Kokomo both days. You had the Gilead House had their little walk. Ivy Tech had their community open house. You had the air show, Wings Over Kokomo out at the municipal airport. The last night of Monsters of Yacht with the summer concert series.
Farmers Market this weekend.
It was just amazing. It was a little warm, a little toasty, but the sun was shining, and it was just wonderful to see so many things happening in Kokomo.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on, and a lot of stuff you listed is on our local Buzz show, which comes out every Friday. Check that out, where we try to debunk the myth that there's never anything going on in Kokomo.
Absolutely.
Which you just did that. You debunked that myth, especially for this weekend.
Yep.
So it was good to see. It was hot. I think it's going to be the last hot weekend. I'm calling it.
Okay.
I think I've seen nothing 70s. I think I'm not even
Put
seeing
your
80s.
almanacs away.
Just listen to me. I am your almanac.
Larison.
Hello.
Yep.
That's what my friends called me in high school, was Almanac Larison. But I mean, yeah, so fall's coming in hot, no pun intended. But that's exciting to see. Kokomo, is a nice little weekend out there. Probably a little hot though for that. Yep. I know our kids went and enjoyed it. I had a great weekend. Michigan football won again. So did
Notre Dame. I was worried.
Oh man, there was some drama of that Notre Dame game.
And I'll go on record as saying I thought for sure Purdue was going to come in and take it to them, but I guess the spirit of Rockney and the Gipper, pulled through for them.
Well, there's a rumor. I mean, just an idea, I guess, that Notre Dame's overrated this year.
After watching those first two games, I would have agreed.
Yeah.
So
are they overrated, or is Purdue good and they beat a good team?
Purdue, I think.
Well, okay. Did you hear the drama?
The game, I thought Notre Dame was overrated and they just beat a good team. So we'll see. I mean,
did you see the drama with the drum? That's what I loved. There was some drum drama.
I heard about the drama of the drum drama.
So if you guys didn't hear about this, it was one of my favorite college football stories of the weekend. So Purdue has this massive drum,
the world's largest
drum that they use with their marching band, and Notre Dame was like, "Yeah, you're not bringing that.
Can't bring the drum."
And they got
it wouldn't fit through the tunnel.
Oh, whatever. So they made this whole scuttlebug like, "No, Purdue, you're not allowed to bring your drum in," which made Purdue all mad. So they weren't allowed to bring the drum in. They did bring it though. They did bring it to the stadium, but they couldn't bring it in. So what did Purdue do? At the halftime show, they literally formed the shape of the drum on the field.
You gotta
love it. You gotta love pettiness in sports. It was fun to see. No, college football, it's so fun. It's going to be a great year. Alabama showed that they can actually get beat or get close to it, so that's exciting. They're human after all. Big college football fan, so I was happy to see that. So let's get into it. What's going on at City Hall this week? Anything fun?
Oh, all kinds of, believe it or not, and I hate talking about it because I give Hallmark a hard time about bringing Christmas in early, but had a meeting this morning making arrangements to bring the Frozen Sandlot back to Municipal Stadium.
Yeah.
So Bridges Outreach, Travis and company will be managing that again. And so they're looking forward to that. We're actually going to have a larger rink than in years past. And really looking forward to making that available. He's got some good ideas. They're still going to be offering the birthday parties and private use of the suites if you want upstairs for birthdays, whatever else, family gatherings and such. But yeah, really looking forward to that. Kind of sad though as well. Like I mentioned, Saturday was the last night of the summer concert series, and Tori mentioned that the Riverwalk concert series only has 3 more to go.
Yeah.
Kokomo bike share will be shutting down when we get close to October. So kind of transitioning through late summer, early fall, and looking ahead to the winter holiday season.
Sure. No, people love that Frozen Sandlot and Bridges. They do a really good job of running that. And of course, that's a great thing for Kokomo citizens to go and do. Because I think we're the only ice skating rink in probably like 30 miles or something like that. Public one at least.
With that extended hours or that amount of public hours. He talked about other rinks in other cities, but being utilized or used by traveling hockey teams and such, and so there's not a lot of public use for the ice rinks, and so we're pretty fortunate to have it here.
And it's a cool environment too. I mean, it's on a baseball field, right? So I mean, it's a really cool setting. I've said this a few times last week. I'm weirdly getting really excited for Christmas.
Black Friday is going to be the opening night
for nice.
Yep, Thanksgiving weekend, Black Friday.
Love that. So that's what's going on at City Hall this weekend. All right, I've got to ask. Everybody is wanting me to ask. The internet was blowing up late last week. So at our office, we're smack dab in the middle of downtown Kokomo, across from the street from the trolley station here on Sycamore. And there was a helicopter flying around.
There was a helicopter.
And no one knew why. There were rumors on the internet. Some people said they were like training, helicopter pilots. There was a giant SWAT vehicle in front of City Hall on Friday. And honestly, right before we started filming this, which was curious timing on your part, maybe, there was a press release put out that kind of explained what was going on. But the internet was just blowing up in Kokomo on Friday on like what was going on. So could you clarify what was going on as much as you can, because I'm guessing there's still ongoing investigations in some sort of point. But could you, as much as you can, tell us why a helicopter was parked on the parking garage last week?
So thank you for recognizing and making known that it is an ongoing investigation, so details are still limited. But as you mentioned, Major Selden did issue a press release giving a quick little timeline of the events leading up to Friday's presence, if you will, not only with the Kokomo Police Department and SWAT team, but also the Indiana State Police, not only with boots on the ground, but a helicopter in the air. The week prior on Saturday, an incident occurred that was kind of downplayed by the parties involved. It alerted the Kokomo Police Department as well as Howard County Sheriff and Indiana State Police to the potential for some criminal activity. Discussions and plans began throughout the week leading up to a partnership between the Kokomo Police Department, Indiana State Police, in cooperation with the Howard County Sheriff's Department to basically engage in a criminal interdiction, if you will, to deter the potential threat of criminal activity that was working its way into Kokomo based on the prior week's event. The helicopter was used for surveillance of areas throughout the city. The additional presence of officers was to do the same as well. And in the release that was issued this afternoon, the result of those efforts on Friday did deter the potential engagement that was I guess feared, but then also being able to get off of the street over 360 pounds of
I'll
ammo.
read those real quick. There are 362 pounds of ammunition, 1 shotgun, 6 handguns, 15 rifles, approximately 2 pounds of marijuana, and 54 hemp and vape cartridges. That's what was seized in the traffic stop and search warrant that took place.
Yes. So,
which the comments on Facebook of that are making me laugh, because I didn't know this. I'm not a gun person. I have nothing against people that own them responsibly, but I guess there's an ammo shortage in our world due to COVID. Right. So a lot of people are offering money for the ammo that was found in the stop. So maybe some,
So no, I mean, obviously being proactive as opposed to reactive, that's one of the things that, my administration in selecting Chief Stout and working with his administration to not only work to increase the presence of police officers, in town, but to better the relationship and cooperation with the Howard County Sheriff's Department, and continue to value the great professional and working relationship that we have with the Indiana State Police, working with their intel and such. Again, being more proactive, knowing that there was going to be the threat of a situation and things coming into our community, to say, you know what, we know you're here, we know you're coming, we're not going to stand for it, and we're going to take your toys.
Yeah. No, so good job, KPD, as well as Howard County Sheriff's Department. They were both involved in that, which was great to see both of them involved. And was this your first situation, I guess, this intensive since you've been mayor?
Yes.
Was it as you expected? That's actually, honestly, the way you're describing it, the way I read the press release, I'm seeing like Jack Bauer type of situation going on in Kokomo. Was it, what was it like from City Hall?
Not to that extent. It was really cool, not only to see the use of the upper deck of the parking garage as the heliopad for the helicopter, but just to see how the departments were working together and surveillance and monitoring and everything, and how they were able to do so somewhat covertly. I know you had the SWAT presence, but also a lot of what was being done prior to them being called to a stop or a situation, or the enforcement of that warrant Friday night. So very cool to see. Little nerve-wracking. Wondering how things were going to play out, but again, with the great work that the Kokomo Police Department did with the Indiana State Police in getting things lined up and planned and prepared for Friday's presence and activity was phenomenal.
It was intensive. I bet. Yeah, I know I compared it to Jack Bauer, but I know you're a Westerns guy, so in my head it was like Hatfield and McCoy's going on a little bit out there at City Hall. Yeah, so that's interesting. Like you said, it's an ongoing investigation, so more stuff will be coming out about that and more details. I know their rumor mill is flying all over the place on Facebook, so thanks to everybody out there putting their rumors, maybe with any evidence or maybe not with any evidence out there. That's helping the situation out in a big way. So appreciate that. Next thing I want to bring up is we've talked about it a little bit the last few shows, but it's these American Rescue Plan funds that the city is getting. I think the final number was announced. I think I saw it in a Tribune article last week. I forget what it was. The exact number.
$19.6 million.
Yes, 19.6.
In two separate installments, if you will. We received half of it last May, and we received the other half this coming May. And so, yes, municipalities throughout the state were required, if you will, not only by federal law, but by the Indiana State Board of Accounts to work with their city councils to appropriate those funds, just same way you're receiving tax dollars and edit dollars and funding in to set up the account for that, and then as a follow up to that, to get a somewhat of a plan in place. And municipalities really have taken two different type of approaches. You've got one similar to the county's done, that with the ordinance that they passed and establishing a plan, go ahead and release the plan. Others around the state, similar to what the city of Kokomo has done, has put in there that the mayor or city administration or mayor shall formulate a plan and get council approval. And so some keep that language in it, somewhat similar to what we have, and then others, again, like the county, already listing that out. The reason we have chosen not to put a specific list of projects at this time was, as fluid as this whole pandemic and really projects as a whole seem to be, didn't want to pigeonhole ourselves into only being required or restricted into one, or listing a project that the community or portion of the community may get excited about, have something occur, and then all of a sudden that project not be feasible to do, or permitted to do, and then we're left trying to explain, why we couldn't. And so in working with the council, what we've done, which is different than a lot of other municipalities that didn't submit a plan, is that we've committed to meet biweekly with up to 4 members of the council to discuss the projects, hear ideas that they have that may be brought to their council meetings, by folks, others that come into my office and share, and then just kind of make a fluid or ongoing plan, and a lot of that too, without assigning specific dollar amounts to it. The costs in a lot of the projects, due to the shortage of resources and supplies and really even timing on other projects, has greatly affected a lot of the costs as well, and so didn't want to have to amend any type of plan later because costs had risen or a project may have been removed. And so this just allows us to continue to be fluid. I've committed to give updates publicly at the council meetings on where we are on projects, and a lot of the projects are going to include infrastructure, meaning water and wastewater to areas, some those that are still not being served within the city limits that were annexed a handful of years ago. Looking at the possibility of the Hotel Convention Center being hospitality in nature, which is one of the permitted uses, infrastructure out to the industrial park. So a lot of things we've been talking about anyhow. And then also, I think we even talked about kind of a Kokomo Stronger 2.0 assistance to either small businesses, non-for-profits. Some of our non-for-profits are struggling. We're even looking at our landlords and the housing issue that may arise with the lifting of the eviction moratorium and such. Working with some other agencies to put some plans together for that. But until we get those plans in place, again, not specifically allocating or identifying a specific dollar amount to those projects until we know a little more what the need may be.
So I know with federal funds, you and I discussed this, like there's usually a lot of red tape with federal funds. Is any of that red tape, or is there any concern where we have to show plans for these dollars, or these dollars go away? Or is there any, guidelines like that to the, like from the federal government saying, we got to know what you're doing with these plans, we have to approve these funds by a certain time or anything like that?
No, the only thing that they want to see is an accounting of the use of the spending of the funds later.
Just at any point.
So they're not requiring, okay, you got to make sure you have this plan, or we're going to check it against this. They'll just say, okay, after you've spent it, and that's where the State Board of Accounts comes into play. The government will require them or rely on them to help audit those. So they'll just make sure that whatever the money or those funds were spent on do fit in line with the restrictions that were in place for the use of those funds. They don't want to. They're not requiring that you see a plan and then match that up to see if it coincided with what was submitted.
Gotcha.
So.
Okay. Yeah. So more to come with that. I mean, it should be exciting. Should be some, fun projects going on. But I know infrastructure doesn't sound like the most fun thing in the world, but trust me, like the update of that, it, helps everyone. It helps the city in general and everybody living here, whether it's better water, whether it's, keeping things up to date, and nobody wants like rusty things underground with our water and all the things being transported. So yeah, I know it doesn't sound as, not sexy as glamorous as maybe a stimulus, or something like that we've had a lot of, but it's all good things. Did you know today, and I know we're filming this today and it'll come out at some point, but today's National Queso Day.
Really?
Are you a queso fan?
I love queso, yes.
Who doesn't, and we were...
That may have just helped me determine what's for dinner? I'm going to do for dinner,
well, that's a great point, because I wanted to ask you some questions involving queso and Mexican food. But first, I want to talk about something that happened here at the Kokomo Post. So today, you might have seen these graphics that we put out on Facebook and Instagram every now and then, where we say, here's like 9 choices of things. If you could only have one, which one would you pick? And we put out a graphic for queso. Because we put all these great queso, different restaurants that serve queso, and said, if you had to pick one, which one would be? And I want to apologize as one of the owners of this business, as one of the people responsible for things here. We left out Don Pancho's. on that graphic, and we feel awful
Okay.
about it. Trust me, Bree made the graphic. I yelled at her for 9 minutes.
Threw her under the
Today,
bus.
darn right I am. It's
Wow.
she's going to learn. You don't forget Don Ponchos moving forward. But as we apologize to Don Ponchos and all that they
Ponchos and
are.
Don Ponchos Villa, because you've got the
It was
two.
the one on Dixon specifically, but both, sure, absolutely, they're both worthy of that. We ordered Don Ponchos for lunch today for the
God,
office.
good
So
for you.
sorry, Don Ponchos, and it was really funny. So people were calling us out in the comments, like, "How could you forget Don Ponchos?" And Don Ponchos, their like page was laugh emojiing all of those comments. So they definitely saw
So they
this.
saw- yes.
So like I said, as one of the owners here, I'm sorry. Don Ponchos, please don't hate us. We love you. We
Well,
love
you
your
ordered lunch
queso.
from there? Yeah, exactly.
We got lunch from there as a peace offering, and it was delicious. So thank you for lunch.
I love their
but
queso
anyway,
too.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't, you know? But anyway, so I'm curious, when you go to a Mexican restaurant, and I'm not going to say which one's your favorite.
Okay.
'Cause, come on.
We hop
I don't
around
want to
to
get you
all-
and get
yep.
you in trouble. I don't want you to pick favorites. But I mean, what does MTM get? Like, what's your go-to at a Mexican restaurant?
Well, my personal choice when we do queso, because some have yellow and some have white, I
Sure.
love the white queso.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I go with the white queso. I'm a sucker for.
Are you talking about just like nacho cheese? Is that the yellow queso, or is there like a queso that's yellow too?
I think there's a queso that's yellow too.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Not sure.
I'm a sucker for chili rellenos, and every Mexican restaurant does chili rellenos differently. So that's
Describe
kind
the
of fun
dish.
to
I'm not
see.
familiar with
So it's a green pepper
Okay.
with meat, often
Ooh.
cheese over the top of it. Some
Like a stuffed
use,
pepper
use
kind of
the
thing?
stuffed pepper. Yeah, some use what you would consider, I guess, an American green pepper or whatever. I mean,
Yeah, bell
and
pepper
some
or something.
have that it's more almost looks like a
poblano?
large
Yeah,
and
little
so.
spice.
Yeah, so I always love trying those, and I'm just a sucker for chimichangas too. I mean, I love it stuffed, deep fried, and little queso on top of it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, a chimichanga is basically a deep fried burrito.
deep-fried burrito.
Basically, so you fry the shell and it's like crispy on the outside.
you betcha.
Yeah, maybe super authentic. I have no idea if it is. Well, today is actually also National Pepperoni Pizza Day.
Oh,
So like, let's do this real quick. MTM's ordering a pizza. What are your toppings?
just about everything.
You're a Supreme guy?
I'm a Supreme guy. I mean, just like my sandwiches, the more you put on a sandwich or a pizza, the better. I mean, it's like a party and everybody's invited.
Love that. How inclusive of you for all those topics.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, one topping I've learned later on in life that is becoming one of my favorite pizza toppings. I could do a pizza just with this on it, is banana peppers.
Yes.
You put
Yes.
roasted, or they get roasted when they cook in the oven with the pizza, but like banana peppers on a
Oh, yeah.
pizza, so good. So check that out if you can. Awesome. So you're a chili relleno,
Chili relleno and
Yeah.
chimichanga.
and chimichanga, and then a supreme pizza guy. And like I said, I'm not going to ask you your favorite pizza either. I don't want people getting mad.
That's all right.
Awesome. Well, let's jump into the Ask the Mayor segment. We've got some questions this week. And if you're unfamiliar with the Ask the Mayor segment, it's when we ask the mayor some questions that you have
How
submitted.
catchy of a
on
title.
we're really creative here. Maybe some, questions that you submitted on our Facebook page, our Instagram page, to our website. However you can get a hold of us. We ask you guys every week to send us in questions for the show.
I love it.
And that's what this is. So the first one is from Amy on Facebook. What does he plan? You're he, by the way.
I'm he.
What does he plan to do about the people panhandling on almost every corner?
Almost every corner.
Which was odd because I read this and I looked out our window where I can see four corners and there were nobody panhandling.
I know, and even if you see one or two, I mean, it's one or two more than you care to see.
Sure.
I mean, your heart goes out for them because you don't really. I mean, because I think we've had this question, before, and never knowing what an individual's circumstance in life is. You hate to encourage that, but when it gets to be, too much of a safety hazard or an annoyance or something, I mean, patrol does stop and ask them to move along. We're not going to start any type of enforcement that they're, arrested and such, but
Sure.
I mean, fortunately, in my opinion, and it sounds like yours too. I mean, it's not as bad as on every corner, but yes, when you see it, happening, even 2 or 3 different locations, I mean, it's still more than you hate to. So, our hope is that when they do have the conversation with an individual who may be giving them money or even patrol, that they're being directed to one of the many wonderful resources and service agencies that we have in town to help them. But yeah.
Gotcha. Next question is from Roger on Facebook. Thanks, Roger, for all the questions. With the census data being released, what data does the city use, and what do they use it for? Also, are there any big differences in how the census data is used in the city versus the county, if he remembers from his time as commissioner?
Okay. I think the city uses more or looks more closely at the census data than the county. Not to say that we do. I mean, I do now just to see how Kokomo compares to other communities. I mean, not necessarily. I think we've grown since the last census in 2010, which is contrary to what a lot of experts claimed that was going to happen to Kokomo, that we were going to slowly and gradually lose population. So to actually come out ahead or higher than what the 2010 numbers showed was very encouraging. So, I mean, looking at that and seeing, I guess, how population versus the availability of jobs, as well as the need for housing, that's where I think a lot of the emphasis on the numbers are, so that if housing is an issue, and even the various types of housing, how those numbers compare or how they can be affected by the census numbers. So we look at that again to see how we're comparing to surrounding communities, looking to see if there's what's the word I'm looking for, exodus versus
yeah. But I think I've always understood census. It's great for state and it's great for federal, because that's how they evaluate where state funding and or state programs,
too, yes.
how much this county should get for this county,
right.
Or on the federal level, how much should this state get compared to this state? Yeah, so it's interesting from like the very local level what that census data would be used for, other than just like general information.
And the diversity of those numbers in the population, so
sure.
Minorities and such. So
yeah. Great question though. Let's see. Next question is from Chris. I like this one. Can I meet Benny the Bull?
Absolutely.
Where's Benny the Bull hang out?
Benny the Bull during the
closet somewhere?
during the summer months occasionally makes appearances out at Kokomo Beach.
You know what we're talking about? You have a really confused face. It's kind of like the city mascot.
The city mascot.
It's Big Ben, or is it Old Ben? Big Ben.
Big Ben.
The cow. There's a mascot. Is it Old Ben? It's Old Ben. Old Ben has a mascot.
Big Ben the clock. Yeah.
I always get so confused. And I can't be the only Kokomo one that does that, because the one thing this cow is known for is being big. So like that's why I always say Big Ben.
But yes, Old Ben.
You're right. That's a good way to remember.
See,
it.
that's why.
Or what if they're just big fans of the UK and they named it after the clock? I don't know. Either way, it's a mascot for the city.
So if anybody wants to be, we can make arrangements. We just have to schedule a time to make sure he's available to,
you ever put the suit on?
To meet. Have I ever put the suit on? No.
Okay. Oh, I feel like
what?
I would feel like that's like your first day at City Hall. Is the first thing you want to do is throw on that mask.
Believe it or not, I have not. Have I? No, I have not put the Ben suit on, but I've had Bobby the Bobcat and Jax on. I've had both of them.
You need the other one. You need 3 for 3.
So I need. Yep.
Next question is from Cliff on Facebook. It's not really a question. Sidewalks in Lafayette Park area, period. North Forest Drive, Wildwood Drive, and so on, exclamation point. So he must be more passionate about North Forest Drive, Wildwood Drive than he was about because they had a period for the Lafayette Park area. So sidewalks in those areas.
Sidewalks. So yeah, that's something that we could look into. A lot of areas that don't have them were developed that way intentionally way back when to reduce costs. Now, I mean, we would be able to consider those if the city has an easement onto those those properties to then be able to install them. But if there's not already a dedicated easement, then the city would need, I mean, same way with the sidewalk program, need permission from the landowners along the entire stretch, as well as getting the easement established and dedicated in order to do that. So a much longer process. I mean, there may be some that, yes, he and a lot of his neighbors would like to see the sidewalks, but there may be some that are like, no way, man, I don't want to strip a concrete coming across here and going across my driveway.
And stuff like that.
So if there's a dedicated easement, easier to consider and plan. If there's not, a lot more involved to try and get permission from the property owners to grant the easement needed to lay the sidewalk.
Yeah. All right, so the next question is from Michael on Facebook. Has Kokomo ever considered stricter guidelines on signs, billboards, business signs, etc., to help improve the appearance of the city?
Yes, and in fact, the previous administration did just that along 931. There is a sign overlay district over the pretty much the entire length of the 931 corridor to bring signs down to ground level to where there's an 8-foot sign requirement as part of the desire of then and mine now as well to work with NDOT to try and get some improvements made to 931, guardrails out, make it a little more pedestrian friendly and a little more inviting along that corridor. And so yes, there is an overlay district along 931 requiring that. In town as well, there are sign requirements or restrictions on that to keep signs from getting too large, and I know neon signs, signs that change text and such. So there are already restrictions in place. If he's got something in particular that he has a concern with, either business-wise or if it's something that he's wanting to open a business and maybe sees that the sign restrictions are a little too tight, be happy to sit and chat with him or direct him to Greg Sheeline, who's the director of the Planning Commission. It's a city-county office, and kind of go through more of that. So
gotcha.
They are in place to try and keep things from getting too out of hand.
Gotcha. Next question, and the last question, is from Austin on Facebook. Once again, thanks, Austin, for always asking questions. Even though I might poke fun at him every now and then. Thank you for asking questions. When will we know what the ARP money is going to be used for? So kind of a little bit what we discussed earlier about any sort of timeline, I guess, on any of the projects. Yep.
So, again, agreeing to meet with council every other week to go through that. They should start hearing a listing or a release, if you will, of certain projects in place. I know I've alluded to a few here as they continue to, I guess, get planned, considered, and such. More information will be released. He and anyone else watching, anybody else listening, is welcome to set an appointment and come up and sit with me and hear what we have in place and what we're considering as well. I've already had a handful of folks, a couple different groups as well, come in and ask as well as share their ideas. So 456-7444. Shoot me an email at mayor@cityofkokomo.org. Make an appointment to come in and sit down and share some thoughts, and we can do the same.
Love that. Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for those questions this
thank
week
you all.
For the Ask the Mayor segment. We really appreciate it. And like I said at the top, if you guys have any questions that you want to ask MTM, just make sure to leave them in a comment below on this video, or we have a post that goes out every Monday or whatever day we're filming, depends on the week. Reminding you that we're going to be filming this show today, and you ask any questions there. So we appreciate those questions.
That we do.
Yeah. So do you have a dad joke for this week?
Oh, we get skip over movie?
Well, I mean, movie we didn't get to watch.
Right.
The one we talked about. Yeah.
I know.
So
It looks good.
it didn't
I apologize
happen,
that
you could say. The movie did.
Nice.
But yeah, so we got we'll follow up next week and we'll do the happening next week. But any dad joke for us?
Well, I mean, obviously we're getting into harvest season.
Oh yeah,
there's a lot of farmers out. So if you're out and about on the roads, please be courteous to them and watch for that. But did you know that we had some pirates growing corn in the area this year? Yeah,
did we?
Do you know how much they sell their corn for?
I'm not as sure of what it's going for. No,
a buccaneer.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Mary Tyler Moore Show here on the Kokomo Post. Like I said before, if you got any questions for us, leave them down below, and we'll make sure to get those next episode as long as it's a great question. My name is Drew Larison. Keep watching the Kokomo Post. We'll see you next time.
You got it. Bye, y'all.